and BBC Radio Lancashire. Philip Youles is with us tonight from Philip Youles Motorcycles in Blackburn and Manchester. I think we should say from the last caller, who was the first person to hang up on me on 3.5 years of doing this show. But I think it does show us that motorbikes, even though, you know, they're a lot of fun to a lot of people, clearly a lot of fun to you and a business to you, they can be controversial for some people, and Maureen clearly was not enamoured with the idea at all, because she thinks our roads are too dangerous.
Yeah, and you know, you have to sort of just see where she's coming from and take a reality check, don't you? I think everything is sort of, I always feel that everything's got inherent dangers in it. Whatever you do in life, play football, you know, I broke my foot, believe it or not, pushing a motorbike into the back of a van. I slipped with it as we were loading it in the van, and the guy who set my foot said, how do you do this? Playing football? And he just assumed automatically that I'd done it playing football. So, you know. The
thing is, Philip, a lot of things that we do them because they're exciting.
Of course we do.
Or because there might be, at the back of our minds, the thought that it could be a little bit dangerous. And it gets the adrenaline running, it gets you excited. And an awful lot of hobbies have some kind of danger. I mean, maybe knitting, maybe not so, but there are a lot
you could
of
fall
hobbies.
on your needles.
I guess you could. Yes, it could end up quite nasty. You know, but there are so many hobbies. You go out there, you do stuff. You go walking the hills. You're on a motorbike.
That's dangerous, isn't it? Yeah, walking the hills.
There are things that can be dangerous.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know. But I guess that is.
Well, I do it. I do it for the fun of it. I do it for the enjoyment, the people that I meet, and the sheer pleasure of it. Yeah. And that's where I get, that's where I get my kicks as well. So.
And the thing I was going to talk to you about tonight as well is a lot of older guys are returning to bikes. There's been an awful lot of that over the last 10 years.
Massive, yeah.
And maybe these guys have ridden bikes before when they were teenagers, or maybe they've never gotten a bike ever. You know, that they do have to have some kind of training.
Yeah, and the training's good now. There is some really good training out there. There's a scheme called Ride Safe, Back Safe, which is a sort of locally led scheme. And then there's the Institute of Advanced Motorists. They do a lot of stuff as well. And a lot of these courses are either free or sort of virtually free. And you are. It's like anything, isn't it? I'm sure if we all did extra training driving in cars, we'd be a lot safer drivers. And I think all road safety, myself, personally, I think all road safety, be it cars or motorbikes, you can't beat having extra training and extra tuition. But
there's also nothing like experience, is there?
Absolutely.
Because I know, I think I passed my driving test 25 years ago this week. And the thing is, I know when I passed my driving test, the skills I've got now, 25 years later, are incredible, you know, compared to what I could do when I passed the test.
Of course, and you've had to learn a lot of those skills the hard way, and you've probably had near moments where you've thought, I've missed that guy, or I've not just done that quite right.
Oh, yes.
And if you had training, you hopefully could have avoided some of that interim period where you are a risk to other road users, and that's the thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, these days, Philip, the last 3 years, you've been running the business, 5 or 6 years?
No, I've been running the business since I was 16, so just over, I'm 42, so quite a few years.
So the last
26.
26 years, goodness me. But the last couple of years, we've had this economic downturn. Maybe people would have considered buying a bike to have along with a car. Not as I guess there's very few people who have a bike as their main source of.
There are, the people who. We tend to find a slight difference in the stores that we've got. In the Blackburn store, not quite as prevalent as in the Manchester store, but in the Manchester store we do have a lot of people who use a bike just for commuting on. And they may have a car as well, but their sort of primary source of getting into the city is for commuting, because obviously the parking costs sometimes they can usually find somewhere just to sneak it, and so obviously they're free. And
I'm always quite jealous of people who can sort of get a bike and just park it almost anywhere, because in the city.
It's superb, it is.
Because you are right, it is great in cities like Manchester.
If ever I've got an errand to do and I dip into the city centre, I always go on a bike, because you can just get there and park.
But the thing is, economically things haven't been that good for the past 3 years. Does that stop people thinking about getting a bike in addition to the car?
It doesn't seem to have. Not for us anyway. We've certainly been we've been up on in the last couple of years, certainly 09, 010, and so far this year we're up on the previous years. So we seem to have booked the trend rather, really, and I think a bit of that's been down to the brands we've had. Triumph and Vespa and Piaggio and Giulia have done really well for us, so particularly Triumph have done fantastic. I mean, they've done a really, really good job at coming back to the market and carving themselves a proper little niche out of that market. I mean, actually, they're not even a niche anymore. They're major players in the over 500cc category. They're number one.
I'm talking to... Japanese bikes look like English bikes, and new British bikes look like Japanese bikes. Is that true, Philip, or is he talking nonsense?
Well, no, it depends which ones you look at, doesn't it? Bonneville, the Triumph Bonneville is a sort of copy of the old Triumph Bonneville, if you will, and still looks like a Bonneville to me. Now, obviously, with Triumph, the Daytona 675, which is a real out-and-out sports bike, so I suppose it just depends which one you're looking at, doesn't it?
Do we have many bikes made in England these days?
Yeah. Triumph are making big numbers. Top of my head, I think it's about 65,000 bikes a year.
Because I remember when I was a lad, the bikes were still being made in Wolverhampton.
Well, they're being made in Hinckley now.
Yeah.
In Leicestershire.
Ah, goodness me. My uncle used to work opposite the factory where the bikes are made.
Meriden.
No, in Wolverhampton.
Oh, Wolverhampton. Sorry, yeah.
And I remember that they always seemed to be on strike. You know, when I was a lad. Yeah, it's happy days. Oh, by the way, James in Burnley says today is the 42nd anniversary of the first day of the Woodstock Festival, 1969, with Joan Baez and Melanie. We had Melanie on the show a few years back. She was strange, but Philip, she was lovely.
I'll bet.
And yes, 42nd. So I guess you were born around the time that the Woodstock Festival was.
I was born in '68. Yeah.
And we'll take a look at that in this day in music history after the news at 11 o'clock tonight. I'm talking to Philip Youles tonight. Philip runs his bike superstore in Blackburn, and now, Philip, coming to Manchester.
Well, yeah, we've had a store in Manchester for some time, although we've just built a new one, which is on Bury New Road, as you go down into Manchester on the left-hand side. We're across from the Hein Garrick store. And we sort of had a store just further down there, which we sort of sold scooters from since about 2000. And anyway, we built this new place and moved into there, booked the trend and put our best foot forward, even though there's supposedly a recession on. But there is a recession on, but I'm just a bit positive.
So clearly things are doing well.
We're making them do well. You have to. There's no... We can't sit back and sort of just put our head in our hands and say everything's doom and gloom. You've just got to get out there and push forward. I'm very much a believer of positive thinking and pushing things forward.
And you've got a big opening night coming up?
Big night on Thursday, yeah. That should be good. Some big wigs from the factory coming up as well, so we're looking forward to that.
Well, that's important.
Steve Moore, if you're listening.
You have to do your best, but when the guys come from, the manufacturer.
Well, yeah, absolutely, yeah, and they're willing us along as well because they know that it's been a big thing for us, and it's a big thing for the company because it's a great city to have a good sort of flagship store in. Manchester's a fantastic city, and it's got a lot going for it, despite recent events, but it has got a lot going for it, and it's lovely to be there representing, an iconic British brand within the city, in the heart of the city.
And as you say, a city like Manchester, if you're thinking about getting into biking, it's a great place because you can just nip around.
Well, you're soon out of Manchester, aren't you? Into some lovely countryside.
Yeah. I mean, certainly Derbyshire. Derbyshire is great biking country, isn't it?
Brilliant. Matlock Bath all around there. Some fantastic roads on the Peak District. And yet you can get out. Manchester is, I know it's a big city, but it's not that big that you're quickly out of it. It's not like London, is it, where it just goes on for miles and miles and miles.
A day later, you're still trying to get out of London,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
As right with Manchester, you can just be out. Philip, I've enjoyed it tonight.
Lovely, I'm glad. I know between being on air, we've been talking about getting you through your CBT, so you're going to have to do that now.
I think I might do that, because listeners, I failed my motorbike test about 10 years back, and I should have gone back and done it again.
Well, come and see us, we'll get you sorted.
Philip, you're a good man. We'll talk again. We'll see you soon.